Happy Hips Flexibility Program. We're going to get up off the floor. We've had a chance for you to explore some static stretching and some deep stretches with some yin poses. Now we're going to come into more active movement using yoga postures. This will allow you to build the stability that will help enhance your flexibility. So let's begin. There's a few things you want to have on hand. You want to have, definitely you need a yoga strap. Find something around the house that you can slide your feet on. So if you have hardwood floors, usually you could just get a couple of towels. Here I'm on the carpet, so I have to use these paper plates. And a couple of yoga blocks is always helpful as well. Bolster may or may not be needed. In our practice today, let's begin by setting our intention. What is it that you wish to experience in your practice today? Remember that intention throughout your practice. Begin to fall into your breath. As we're standing here in Tadasana pose, our feet are grounded, lifting our head towards the sky, and we're just starting to feel our breath in our body. Feel it expanding all the way from your feet to the top of your head. Begin to feel it expanding from your toes to your fingers. I'm going to warm up today with a standing cat-cow. So we'll take our feet hip-width apart, bring our thighs down and our hands on top. Arch your spine as you inhale, rounding your spine as you exhale. Find some freedom of movement here. This is starting to move the hips, the low back. Just like when we do cat-cow on our hands and knees. Really lengthen that inhale and exhale so you're feeling that breath into your body. Start to roll slowly up one vertebra at a time. We're going to inhale for some myofascial unwinding, big breath in. As you exhale, bend your knees a lot into a floppy forward fold. Roll back up one vertebra at a time, inhaling up. Exhaling, floppy forward fold. Let it be fluid and non-structured. Excuse me. Going to move from here into some side bending again, fluid and non-structured. Just letting the body lead us and the breath lead us. This works and opens up the lateral lines. From here you can move into a little bit of rotation, just twisting the body, nice and fluid. Letting your body move and breathe. Exhaling, let's round the back, come all the way back down to our hands and knees. Do a little cat-cow here, arching and rounding the spine. Find yourself in down dog and move there a little bit. It doesn't have to be anything rigid. Shake the head out a little bit. And then we're going to begin to step the right foot forward, drop our back knee and find a nice deep lunge. Rise up, come into a goddess pose. Turn your feet in each direction. As your feet turn, your hips start to turn. So we're starting with mobilizing the hip joint. Turning our feet and really feeling that movement right here in the hips. We're going to take this to a warrior two dance. Remember your warrior two, toes this way, other toes facing the front. Rise up. Turn the feet in the opposite direction. Come back. Again, working on mobilizing those hip joints. can do anything you want with your arms. I like to vary the movement, allowing the shoulders to open up. I'm going to find a warrior two on one side and play with your hip movement here. So side to side rocks. You can do hip circles like a hula dancer. And then try it on the other side to side rocks. And hip movements like a hula dancer. Next, we're going to use our strap. So this can be a little tricky. You have to have a super long strap. So if you don't have a strap today, maybe you can get one and use it in the future. You take your strap, you loop it through the end, and if it's a D-ring, it works really well. I'm going to take the strap and put one end on the front leg of warrior two. And I'm going to put the D-ring so it's on the outside of my hip. I'm going to show you from behind. My other foot's going to go on the other end of the strap. So when I tighten the strap, it's pulling my thigh out, which is what we like in our warrior two. So once you have your strap connected, it's right in the hip crease. What that does, it allows us to really feel that mobility in our hip. This is giving us stability here. We're going to find our warrior two, and what we're going to do is pull your feet together. Now we're moving into PNF techniques. You're actually pulling your feet towards the middle of your mat, contracting your muscles. If my legs could move, they would slide together. And then we exhale and deepen. Then pull your feet towards each other. Exhale and deepen. Once more, pull your feet towards each other, squeeze, and then deepen your warrior two. You might even have to move your feet out. From here, we're going to move into triangle pose. You may need to tighten your strap as you straighten your front leg. And I would grab a yoga block or two to raise the floor up. So in Trikonasana, we're going to bend right here from this hip joint. Snuggle that strap in, straighten your forward leg, reach out, hinging at the hips. Stretch to your blocks. If your blocks don't need to be as high, just start to go lower down. Breathe here. Now the active part. Instead of just sinking into the flexibility, we're going to squeeze our legs together. So my back leg is squeezing towards my front leg. My front leg is squeezing towards my back leg. And then I'm releasing and I'm able to slide out a little further. Again, squeeze them together. If your arm gets tired, just put your hand on your hip. And then release. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. My back foot squeezing towards my front heel. I could even put my toe up and pull the heel back. And then release. Now, I don't know if you can tell from watching, but hopefully you can tell from feeling that that made you more released into the posture. From here, bend your front knee, rise up, and we're going to switch sides. So trying again with that strap. Keep it where it was, take it around the front thigh. Try to put the place that you tighten it on the outside so you can really pull the strap so that your thigh is rolling outward. That's what's one of the beauties of this. Reaching out. Squeeze the legs towards each other. And release. Squeeze. And release. And squeeze. And release. As you're ready, you're going to find triangle pose. Usually I have to tighten the strap a little bit more. Straightening your legs. Coming down. Think about bending from your hip joint because we're working on hips today, so that's where we want to bend, right there. Find your yoga block. Reach up. Breathe into the openness here, and then squeeze your legs towards each other so my heel's coming towards my other foot, and this back foot's coming towards my front foot, and I'm releasing, going a little bit deeper. Squeeze and release. And last one, squeeze and release. And feel the depth of the pose. Maybe you're able to go all the way to the floor, maybe not. Then soften the front knee, push into your feet to rise up. Gracefully get the strap off and put it to the side. Notice how your hips feel. Maybe move them around a little bit. Take a big breath in, big inhale. Exhale, hands to heart center. We're going to move into some lunges. We were just working on this plane, now we're working on the forward plane. So find yourself in tabletop. If you can, move into downward facing dog. If down dog is not good for you, you can stay in tabletop or half dog, bending the knees a lot. Let's bring one leg up to the ceiling. Let's bring the right leg up and step it forward to a lunge. So what if the floor is really far away? Grab your yoga blocks and make a little tower so you're able to reach and have some support. Then we're going to come back down and we're going to go opposite direction. Reaching the leg up, maybe bend the knee. And sweep it forward again. Coming as low as you need to. Let the hips drop. Once more, sweep it back to the ceiling. Maybe bend the knee. And final one, reach it forward. Pull the heart forward. Feel those hips release. You're going to relax the back knee and relax the back ankle. So you may remember from first two phases how we had support under the knee with a towel, maybe even support under the ankle. So doing that if you need to. We're going to move into the super pigeon stretch. Similar to yin pigeon, but very different. Our yin pigeon was called dragon. In super pigeon, we're going to squeeze the legs towards each other. So I like to take the block on the inside of my leg, come deep into the pigeon, and squeeze like scissors. So if my legs could move, they would be coming towards each other. So you're going to pull, 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 and release, release, release. Maybe you drop your hands down lower. You're going to pull, 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 and release, release, release. Once more, pull, 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 and release. Come down as low as you can comfortably and let it go. Squeeze your knee in towards your shoulder. So you're squeezing the right knee in towards the shoulder. Active. You're pulling your back knee towards the front of your body. Active. You're pulling the front heel towards the back of your body. Active. And then let go and see if you sink any deeper. One more time. Squeeze the knee into the shoulder. Squeeze the front heel towards the back knee and the back knee forward. And release. Notice your body will drop deeper. From here, we're going to come up and stretch the front of the thigh. So the back knee is going to start to come up. This is where the strap might be very helpful. I know a lot of people have difficulty grabbing this back ankle. So if you need the strap, use it around your ankle and pull your ankle towards your hip. Same rules, you're going to get used to the sequence. Press your ankle into the strap and then release. I'm pressing my ankle towards the floor and I'm releasing it. And I'm pressing it towards the floor and I'm releasing it. If the strap is not happening for you, do it here. Press your shin into the floor, then release. Press your shin into the floor and release. Bring yourself upright. Pull the belly to the spine. So we're getting the spine neutral and backing the foot up. And then we're coming forward. You're going to feel the front of the left hip a little bit more here. You can even take your left arm up to the sky, lengthening that left side body. And then bringing the hands down. Take that forward leg and Bring it behind you. Maybe do some circles. You could even do down dog. You have the strap. Get rid of it. Take your leg in big circles, releasing that hip. And notice the different energy from the forward hip, the right leg, and the left leg now. Let's take a big inhale. Exhale, release. Bring your left leg forward, or whatever leg you didn't do, and find your lunge. Remember, use the blocks. Especially in the first couple of lunges, you want to use those blocks to get the floor closer to you. Release and come back. One leg dog, bend the back knee. Take it forward. Drop into that lunge. Maybe your blocks are a little lower. Remember, go as slow or as fast as you need to bring your leg up and back. And then back forward. So here after the third one, we're going to hold. Then we're going to release and bring the ankle down, the shin down. Add your support under your knee or your shin or ankle if you need it. Begin to take yourself into a deeper place. Maybe you put both hands on one side. Squeeze your front heel towards your back knee and your back knee towards the front heel. It's like scissors closing. And then release that tension. Squeeze the knee and heel towards each other. Keep the belly strong. And release. Once more, 3's the magic number. Squeeze. And release. Then even though we're letting it go to a deeper place, maybe forearms on the floor, maybe you stay up on your hands, continue to be active. Squeeze that forward knee in towards your shoulder and pull your heel towards your back knee. Stay active, maybe 3-4 seconds. Then release and let it go. Repeat that. Bring the knee towards the shoulder and both the front heel towards the back knee. And release. Once more, pull. And release. Slowly come up. We don't need to stay in those steeper stretches that long. We already did that in our phase 2. Here we're going to bring the back heel up. If you need to grab your strap, grab it. And you're going to push your ankle into your hand. Make sure you're keeping your abdominals engaged. And release. And pull it closer. Push your ankle into your hand. And release. And push. And release. Remembering this can always be done with your shin on the ground. Then taking our bodies more upright, bringing your front foot back. Isolating the front of the hip. Keep the belly towards the spine and come forward, tucking your hips under. You can even reach that arm up. You're going to feel it more in the front of the hip here. Breathe into that side body. Pull the front knee towards the front heel. And release. Take anything you need out of the way. Do whatever you need to do to loosen up. Maybe you come into downward dog and shake the hip up here. Bringing ourselves down. Here's where we're going to grab whatever you have that slides. So I'm going to hope this slides on this mat. If not, I'm going to slide it on the carpet. In fact, I'll probably just do that because it's not sliding too great on the mat. One of the things that we find is a lot of us are over flexible in the hamstrings, even though they feel stiff, or we're weak in the hamstrings, causing them to stiffen to compensate for that weakness. Another thing that we know is the core can be weak, causing the hamstrings to grip. With all that being said, what you're going to do is get to know your hamstrings before you stretch them. First thing we're going to do is a simple bridge pose. Bring your feet a little bit further away from your hips than usual. Lift your foot up and dig your heels into the ground. And even just doing that, if you touch your hamstrings, you feel them contract. Those are your hamstrings. to create a little bit of work, the first step is see if you can lift the hips up. Not too high, and you're pulling your heels towards your butt cheeks. You may even get a little crampy there. And release. And then lift and pull the heels towards the glutes. And release. So if that's good for you, continue doing that. If that seems too easy, this is where we use these little discs. You lift up your hips and slide the disc out. Drop your hips down and slide them back. Lift up the hips, slide them out. Drop the hips and slide them back. Again, this is to wake up your hamstrings before you do the stretch. They're going to be so ready for the stretch. If this is too easy, one-legged slide. So lift the hips up, slide, drop it down and pull it back. Lift the hip up, slide, drop it down and pull it back. So try those. See which one works best for you. And pull it back. Woo! I can already tell which side of my leg is weaker. My left hamstring is weaker than my right. So it needs some work. When you're done with about 10 repetitions, just hug it in. Maybe do some circles. So if they weren't cramping, they definitely were talking to you, I'm sure. So this makes us ready for our forward fold. Let's move into a standing forward fold. It's one of the more challenging stretches for the hamstrings, but now that your hamstrings are nice and warm and you know where they are, it's going to be a little easier for you. Let's just stand up. It's a hip hinge, just like our seated forward fold. So first I want you to practice your hip hinge. That's bending at the hips, keeping your back flat. Starting with your knees bent. That's going well. See if you can hip hinge with your knees straighter. Notice when we hinge forward that our weight shifts backward. My toes even want to come off the floor. As we move into our forward fold, we're going to seek to keep our weight from our heel to our toes and not let our weight shift back too far. So start from Tadasana. Inhaling, we reach up. Exhaling, we hinge, forward fold. Once you find that forward fold, see if your back is flat. Let your head go. Check to make sure your hips are directly over your ankles. So the center of your hip should be directly over the center of your ankle. That means there's weight into your toes. If you're fairly folded forward, grab your ankles or your big toes. If this is difficult for you and you're only right here, no problem, just be right here. Now comes the active part. Pull your heels towards your buttocks like you're gonna squat. And then release, let it go. Pull the heels towards the buttock as if I was gonna squat down into chair pose, but I'm not. I'm just holding isometrically. And release. Once more, pulling the heels towards the buttocks. And release. Even though I'm in a nice deep fold wherever you are, don't be lazy and flop out. Continue to squeeze your thigh muscles in the front. And then pull your heels towards your buttocks as you fold into the forward fold. Let the head go, but keep action in the muscles around those hamstrings. Breathe. Slowly release, bend the knees, roll slowly up. Take your time, hands on the thighs. Back to Tadasana. Beautiful. And then breathe. Let's inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Take yourself wider in your feet. This is called tail wagger pose. We're going to bend our knees and lower our hips until our hips are in line with our shoulders. Your back should look like a table. Take your hands, put them on the inside of your legs. Push your knees in as you push your arms out. And release. Push your knees in as you push your arms out. And release. Push your knees in as you push your arms out. And release. Go from there to a wide-legged fold, but very floppy. We are just firing up the inner thighs, getting ready for our next stretch. Roll slowly up to standing. Turning our toes out slightly and widening your feet out slightly. Begin to side lunge. Side to side. Take support where you need it. You might stay up here the whole time. If you feel ready, you can bring your hands down to the floor or to some blocks. We're just telling our body this is what's getting ready to happen. And the body listens. If you want more strengthening here, lift the arms and do it with just your leg muscles. That will really fire up those legs. Then we're going to all move to one side and hold the stretch. So you may be up here. If you're feeling ready, you may drop your hip below your knee. Some practitioners can even drop their hip towards their heel, making sure the knee does not roll in, making sure your heel is on the ground. So if you can only be here and keep your heel on the ground, I'd like you to stay here. Then rise up, push down, visit the other side. It might be a whole different story. Maybe you stop halfway like I'm doing. Maybe you drop down. Make sure you're active. I can flop down and hang out here all day. But if I lift and use my leg muscles, if I actually lift my arms, it's even more active. And then rise up. Once more. Drop to any amount. Light hands, lift out of the gravity. Maybe no hands. Lift up. Other side. If you drop down, see if you can support with muscular energy. And then rise up. Toe heel your feet a little closer together. We're going to turn into what we call a high cross. So you're going to walk your hands towards one foot. Keep turning around until your thighs are crossed. We're just contracting the muscles that we just stretched. Come out of that. Go the other way. So you walk towards one foot and then keep walking until your upper thighs are crossed. Squeezing those inner thighs towards each other. Coming back to center. Lifting halfway. And then bringing your hands down. Bringing your knees down. And coming into all fours. Maybe you do a little cat-cow. If you need a little rest, you move into child's pose. Lengthening the low back. Maybe a little Chakravarkasana. Cat to cow to child. Inhale to cow, exhale to cat, and then go to child. And let's just rest in child's pose. Moving your hips back any amount. Some of you may find that your hips are way above your heels. It's a great time for that bolster to fill in the space. We're going to come out of this, moving in to our next mobility work. This is for some nice deep squat hip mobility. You're going to begin in all fours. Let's take the right leg back and bounce it a little bit. Then you're going to lift it up and place it on the outside of your foot hand and sweep it back and up. If you can only bring your leg up to here, no problem. Bring it to there. You're working on increasing your ability to get that hip forward. And it can be anywhere along this continuum. A few bounces and then place it there. And then when you're ready, ready, switch to the other side. So you bounce it a few times and sweep it forward. Bounce it, sweep it forward. Now, if you want, you can do both. What that's going to take is a bounce, a sweep, and then a come up and come back down. A bounce, do it slow with intention. A sweep, bring the other one up and come down. And try the other side, see what happens. Maybe you only end up like this. No problem. Just go to where you are. Maybe you only end up like this. No problem. We're working towards changing over time, not changing in one session. All right. Rest in child's pose. When we inhale, we're going to come up. Now we're ready for Malasana squat. Find it best to come up to your feet, rolling your feet out. The stiffer your ankles, the more you have to push your feet apart. Then dropping. Maybe you stop in prayer squat. Maybe you're able to lower the hips below the knees. As long as your heels are on the floor, you should be fine. If your heels are off the floor, I invite you to come up higher. That's just your calves talking to you. And any compression in the knees, you could use a block to sit on. Takes off some of the body weight and allows you to do the stretch with less compression in your knees. Over time, I'd love for you to work on building strength and this flexibility, which means you come up half an inch and down. Come up half an inch or more and down. Come up a little bit more and down. And then you can use your arms to open up the inner thighs. Breathe. And release, bringing those knees down. Finding yourself once again in child's pose. Use the bolster if you need to under your hips. Let's slowly come up. We're going to move into a front side plank, transitioning after we strengthen the side of the body, the side of the hips, just stretching those areas. So side plank, you're in a full plank here. Take one leg and put it in front. Turn your toes towards knee. You're on the outside of your opposite foot. And then if you want the strengthening, lower and lift your hip a few times. Pushing. You're strengthening your shoulder too at the same time. And then after about 3 or 4, you can do as many as 10. Drop the hip down and enjoy the stretch. First, your chest is just straight ahead. Then you're going to turn your chest towards that knee. Finally, you can go into a half cow face, where this knee stacks over the other knee. If you need to, you can transition it to a figure 4. If your knee is turned way up, you could also sit up on a bolster. Find where you need to be and let it go. Let the forehead come down. And we're just going to rest in this one. We already did a lot of the contraction. Now we're doing the relaxing. Let's slowly rise up. I'm going to move to the other side. So first, finding your plank pose. Take one leg in front, turn it 9 degrees, turn the foot 9 degrees on the outside of your other ankle, on the foot, and you lower and lift at your own capacity. If this is too hard, just stay here on your knee. You don't have to lower and lift. Find some place in between. And then when you're ready to lower, your muscles will be all fired up. Even if you were on your knee, it was working to hold you up. Breathe here. turn your chest towards your knee. And then find your half cow face or figure four stretch. Remember figure four if your knee is up here. Also sit up on a block or a blanket if your hips won't go forward, if your back starts to round. And then we just let go. Breathe and receive. Slowly rising up. Unwind the feet and just find yourself in a seated position. I like to round my back after that. Gently rise up. Make sure you have your yoga block and your strap handy. Gonna finish on our back. We're gonna do head to toe in all different directions. Let's take our strap and wrap it around one foot. Wherever you are, remember from phase one that if you're down here, that's where you are. Don't try to be up here. Be where you are, accept that, and know that it will change over time if that's something that's supposed to happen. A little contract, relax, pull that leg down. So my leg wants to go down, and I'm keeping it here. So pull the heel towards the floor and release. You can also pull the heel down towards the floor by bending the knee and release. Once more, pull down or bend. You can do both, pull down and bend. And then release and feel that long stretch. You just got stronger within your own flexibility. Take the strap and put your hand on the strap, the same hand as the leg, and start to roll it out to the side. Try not to let the opposite hip come off the floor. You can always put a block under the outer thigh if you want to support it and be more relaxed. But if we want to do our contract, relax, PNF, we're going to pull the leg up, 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 and then release it down, down, down. Pull it up, up, up. It's just going to maybe move an inch, and release it down. And then pull it up, 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 and release it. And just let it get heavy. The opposite hip should stay down. Do not let your opposite hip lift up, even if your leg is way up here, no problem. Then we're going to lift that leg up. Change hands so the opposite hand goes to the strap. And you're going to first keep both hips on the ground and bring your leg across, so you're not going to go very far. This is going to work right here on the outer side of the leg. And then to get to that muscular energy, bend your knee, take your hand on the outside of the knee and bring it all the way across. Let your hip come up. And then contract, relax. Push your hand into your knee and your knee into your hand so you're trying to move up. And relax. Push. And relax. Push. And relax. You could always put a block under the knee on the other side if you want a little support. Remember, the same principles apply. Support the bones and the muscles relax. And coming out of that stretch, let's switch legs. So take your other leg up. Make sure your strap's on the ball of your foot so you're getting a nice calf stretch. And first we'll just try to pull the leg down and or bend the knee. And then relax. Pull the leg down and or bend the knee. And relax. Pull the leg down and or bend the knee. And relax. And hold it maybe 3 or 4 breath cycles after you do your contract, relax. Begin to take your leg out to the side. Same hand as leg. Make sure this hip stays on the ground. You don't want it to roll up and you've kind of lost what you're looking for. Then pull the leg up as if it was going to move, but you're only letting it stay in one spot, and let go. Pull like you're going to move it, and let go. Pull like you're going to move it, and let it go. 3 or 4 breaths once you get to where you're feeling that last bit of release. Raise the leg back up, switch arms. Start with the legs straight, keep both hips on the ground and bring it across. This is just more of a soft tissue release, not as much of muscular release. Then bend the knee, put your hand on the outside of the knee, bring it all the way across. And push up once you get to your end range and release. Push up and release. 3rd time's the charm. Push, push, push and release. And this is where you might put a block under the knee if you want a little support. Less stress on the SI joint, less stress on the back. Any amount, wherever it feels comfortable. Deep breaths. Just come out of this. Find your way to constructive rest. Put your feet on the floor and your knees bent. Let the back settle. Let the tailbone come down. Start to lengthen your breath. Get heavy. Move into your Shavasana pose, your resting pose. I invite you to stay here for 5 to 10 minutes. When you're done with your Shavasana, roll to your side to help your body come up without alerting the nervous system too much. Come up into easy seated pose. Thank you for joining me for phase 3. Namaste.